Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Janina, and first of all, I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're safe and healthy wherever you are. And I know it's been a really long time since I uploaded a video or filmed a video or anything like that, but to be honest, I was really not creative and didn't have the time to sit down for a video. But right now I do, and I thought, why not film like a really random small video for you all, because lately, like in September not so much, but in the past few days, 1.5 weeks, I've been reading a little bit again. I always have like my phases where I read a lot or like I game a lot or whatever. So right now I'm in kind of like a reading rush, and I've been reading a lot. And in when was it? In August as well, I read a ton of books, and I read a lot of really trashy romance books, especially like gay romance books, and they were all like, not all, but a lot of them were really, really terrible, and I kind of want to talk about them today. Like, which books were really bad and which I actually do kind of recommend, because there were some kind of good ones in there which were really fun. So without further ado, let's go and get started and talk about some trashy romance novels. One of the first one that I've read like back in August, I believe, was A Fairy of Bone and Gold by Haley Turner. And I have, like, from all of these books that I'm going to talk about, I have no physical copies. They're all just on my Kindle. But yeah, in this first one, which is the first book in the, I don't know, it's the longest series, I believe. I think it has 5 volumes so far. It's the first one in this series, and we follow Patrick, who is kind of like a special agent in the supernatural operations agency. So he's kind of like consulted when weird stuff is happening and supernatural beings are kind of like doing things. So he's kind of like a consultant for this agency. And in the town that he's living in, I think it's New York, I don't remember much, but like some weird murders are happening where like a supernatural being are like doing really gruesome murders of people, and Patrick is kind of like consulted and trying to find out what happens and who did this. And to be honest, this book was quite good. Like, it was one of the like better gay romance novels in my opinion, because the writing was really good, the characters were really good, and I really liked the plot in it. But the thing is, in this, everything that you can imagine like for supernatural beings, it's in there. Like demons, wolves, vampires, gods, fairy, like everything under the sun that is kind of supernatural is in this book. And I thought it was a bit too much. I think the author could have like just left it at 1 or 2 supernatural beings and not go with everything, because in a lot of like urban fantasy books that I'm reading or supernatural books, there's like vampires and werewolves and fays, for example, but not gods and demons and angels. And I was like, oofta, like, where is this going? Why is there just so much going on? And I thought it was packed a bit too full of that, and it left me a little bit confused as well, like who is having what motive and why is that being doing that and who was this again. It was a little bit confusing in my opinion, that it was because it was so packed, like full of beings and supernatural stuff. And the thing that I liked though was actually the main character, Patrick. He was really interesting because he was kind of like a no nonsense kind of guy, and as I said, he's trying to find out which being did these gruesome murders, and he's trying to find help like from other sources. And at one point he's meeting Jonah, who is a werewolf, and this werewolf is kind of like, I don't know, like he's kind of like super attractive, obviously, and our main character is kind of like, I'm interested in this guy, but I shouldn't. But well, you know how these books go. They're obviously getting closer, but anyway, I really liked this one. It was fun. It was longer than a lot of trashy romance novels that I read before. I think it has 400 pages, and I gave this 3 stars, which is a really good rating for trashy romance novels that I read, because a lot of them have like 1 star, but this got 3, so I can actually recommend this one if you want to read like a gay romance novel with a lot of supernatural elements to it, with a good writing and a really interesting plot. I think you should try this one out. Then the next one I read as well back in August was Hell on Earth by Macy Blake. And this one I actually started because I thought the cover was quite nice. And in this one we follow Shaq, who is a hellhound, which really intrigued me because I never read like a supernatural gay romance book with shifters who are hellhounds. So this kind of intrigued me and I picked it up. And like I said, we follow Shaq, and he is the owner of a bar where supernatural beings like come and go. And one day, Drew, who is a human, wanders into this bar, and he is on the run from other supernatural beings. I think it was wolves. And Shaq is kind of like taking him in and taking care of him because his kind of like, I don't know, caring instincts come out and he wants to help that human. And in the end, they become mates and they live happily ever after. That's kind of the feeling that I got by the middle of the book, at least, because there's some stuff coming afterwards, but it is only 200 pages long, so there's not a lot of plot in it. And to be honest, the first 50 to 100 pages I thought were fine. They were like fun and interesting to read. But from the point on where it was clear that they become mates, like Drew and Shaq, it got really like plotless. There was like nothing happening. And I know this has a second and a third book, but I won't be picking these up. It didn't leave me with enough interest to pick up the second and the third book. It was something for in between that was just, I don't know, entertaining as long as it lasted, but it wasn't very great. So yeah, kind of recommend. I gave this 2 stars, and yeah, moving on. The next book that I read was Until Forever Comes by Ardino C, and this was absolutely terrible. Let me say that at the start. I gave this 1 star. And in this one, we have a werewolf, a young werewolf, and an old vampire who become mates. And that's basically just the story. There's nothing else. There's a lot of sex in this. Like, there's so much of it that it kind of got so repetitive and boring, and it was so badly written. Like, the language in this is absolutely crude and very juvenile. The characters were stupid, especially the werewolf. He was so immature in how he was talking, and I was so annoyed by these characters and how just stupid everything was. I thought it was terrible. There are a lot more in this series. I think this is actually the second one in this like book series, and I will not pick any of the others because I actually think that the writing was just the worst thing in it, and the characters. It was just, all in all, it was bad. The characters, the writing, the non-existent plot. And yeah, in this one, like in this phase where I was reading this, I really wanted to read books with like a shapeshifter werewolf person and a vampire. And this is one of the books that were like recommended to me on Goodreads. But I thought it was terrible. Please don't read this one. It's just, no. There's coming some good ones as well. Just wait a second. Then I read the whole series of the Pine Ridge Pack by Jada Marks. And these were all absolutely terrible. Like, oh my god, I gave all of them 1 star, except for the second one I gave 2, but these were all absolutely like, I don't have any words for these. Like, I was just reading them because they were so entertaining, because they were so bad. Like, these all have like 150 pages, 120 pages, so you can read them like in a day if you want to. And at this point, I just wanted to read something without a plot and with just something where I'm not attached to the characters, because I wasn't ready to read something with like a huge plot and intrigue and all these characters. I just was not at the point where I wanted to read this when I read all of these. I just wanted something like really easy to read where I can just fly through and not get attached to it, and you know, I still would be entertained by the end of it. And these books, like especially this series, they were all terrible because this has insta-love and no plot. It's just fluff, and I love fluff and happy endings, and you know, I'm a really big fan of that. But there was just no plot in this. There was just, you know, daily life and insta-love. Like, they meet, like the werewolf guys meet their mate, and it's like, bam, I'm in love forever and ever. And I get that. It's like this kind of you're my mate thinking, and I get that and I understood that. but it was just still like get to know each other first, even though you know they're your mate. Just talk a bit maybe, and like not throwing around "I'm in love with you" after 2 seconds. It was just a little bit, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of that, but they were still entertaining. Let's be honest. Then I read the whole series of the Beacon Hill Sorcerer, which has the Necromancer's Smile, the Necromancer's Dilemma, and the Necromancer's Reckoning. And they're all by S.J. Himes, and I gave all of these 3 stars, which again is kind of like a good and really great rating for all of these gay romance novels, because to be honest, this was so far the best of the ones that I've read. We follow Angel, who is a necromancer, and he is the only necromancer in Beacon Hill, in this town that he lives in. And he's like super strong and super badass and takes no nonsense and just does what he wants and is kind of like, I don't care, this is not right, so I'm giving this justice. And I could really get behind that. I really like that about the main character. And we have Simeon, who is our main vampire character in this, who is really interested in Angel, and they have a really, really lovely and beautiful relationship in this. It's a really healthy and lovely relationship with a lot of conversation and just in general, like a relationship that I like to read about, to be honest. And I really, really enjoyed this relationship that these two have, because they know they can depend on each other. They have each other's backs, and I really, really like that. We have other characters as well. For example, Angel has a little brother who's called Isaac, who has really like his own problems, and we explore that as well. And he has his own series that I really want to read, like at least the first book is out, which I'm really interested in. And then we have an apprentice that Angel gets during the series as well, and other vampire characters and like supernatural beings, and it was just really a lot of fun. Sorry that the lighting changed during this video, but it just gets darker and darker, and I think this might be a little bit better. Sorry about that. But yeah, this is just a really fun series, and if you like a really well-spoken vampire who is like really like a gentleman, and a relationship where 2 people really care about each other and really like truly love each other, then I think you should try this one out, because it's a lot of fun. The writing is really, really great as well. For me personally, sometimes there was not enough conversation, like not enough dialogues in this. There was sometimes you have like 5 pages just of text, and no dialogues. And I normally like it when I have like fun dialogue to read between the characters, and because this is kind of like their interactions, right? And I like to read about it while they have a dialogue and not like a text who describes the dialogue, you know what I mean? So this is something that was like the only thing that that I didn't really like about this series, but that's just her writing, I think. And in the second and the third book, it got a little bit better. I got more used to it as well. So highly recommend this one, actually. Even though I only gave it 3 stars, this is still like a really, really good and fun series. And after that, I started to read all the other books by S.J. Himes. And for example, I read Knight's Fire, which is a book about a knight and a dragon shifter, which was really lovely as well. I gave that one 4 stars actually, and it's only 150 pages long, so it's really short. You can read it in a day as well. Really lovely, super sweet relationship, super sweet characters. If you want to read something in between that will really like make your heart go warm, and where you're like, oh, these have such a sweet relationship, then please go for this one. It's really, really nice. I also read Wolfsbane just yesterday, also by S.J. Himes, and I gave that one 3 stars. This is actually set in the same universe as the Beacon Hill Sorcerer series, so we have a little appearance from Angel, for example, in this, which I thought was really, really nice, like a really cute Easter egg in the book. And this one also has only about 200 pages, and we follow a werewolf and a kind of like a hybrid human werewolf who gets kicked out of the pack, like the hybrid human werewolf. They're not accepting him because he can't change into a werewolf. And to help him out, the werewolf dude, Jemerson is his name, he kind of makes like the offer to become his mate, like to court him and then still become part of the pack because of that. But that kind of changes during the book as well. So really enjoyed that one too. I gave that one 3 stars. And yeah, like just in general, I'm kind of like reading all of the S.J. Himes books right now. She has one really big werewolf book that I really want to read, but I forgot the name right now, but that's kind of like what I'm setting my eyes next to because it sounds really good. So yeah, having a lot of fun with her stuff so far, which is really nice. So I can highly recommend just generally the author, I think, if you want to read like really sweet romance books between like supernatural guys, I guess. Just go for S.J. Himes. I think you will enjoy her a lot. So all in all, a lot of these were really terrible, but there's some kind of like good ones in between. And maybe you will pick up some of these if you like this genre and like reading about werewolves and vampires who fall in love. I think you will find at least one book in this list that you might like as well. Let me know if you pick any of these up or maybe if you read any of these. I would like to know. I think that's it from my side for today. I hope you enjoyed this random little video about just random supernatural gay novels, I guess. And take care of yourself and I will see you guys hopefully in the next video. Bye!